Three men charged after elderly woman, others injured in altercation. 3 men have been charged by the police following a reported altercation with other residents during which one of them allegedly fired a gun, injuring an elderly woman and 2 others. The accused are 27-year-old Marvin Nelson, 26-year-old Romar McIntosh, and 23-year-old Andre Hall, all residents of Trelawney. They face charges of wounding with intent, shooting with intent, possession of a prohibited weapon, possession of ammunition, and using a firearm to commit a felony. Reports indicate that around 2 a.m. on Tuesday, June 4, the men who were involved in an altercation with other residents of Paradise Street in Clarkston, Trelawney. During the confrontation, one of the accused allegedly fired a gun, injuring an elderly woman and 2 other men. The injured individuals were taken to hospital for treatment. Following an investigation, Nelson, McIntosh, and Hall were arrested and subsequently charged. Man teenager charged in Santa Cruz store robbery. A man and a teenager who allegedly robbed a store along Main Street, Santa Cruz in St. Elizabeth of items valued at $2 million have been charged. The man has been identified as 23-year-old Fitzroy Hastings, a lifeguard of West End Negril and Little London, Westmoreland. The accused are charged with robbery with aggravation, possession of a prohibited weapon, using a firearm to commit a felony, and receiving stolen property. According to the police, on Tuesday, May 7th, about 3 p.m., the complainants reportedly were at a store when Hastings and the teen entered armed with handguns and demanded cash. It is alleged that they robbed the complainants of iPhone and Samsung tablets valued at $2 million and then fled the area in a waiting Toyota Axio motor car. A month later, on Tuesday, June 4, the vehicle was reportedly intercepted by the police. A search of the vehicle reportedly yielded the properties that were reportedly stolen, the police noted. The men were taken to the police station where they were identified by the complainants. They were subsequently charged. Their court date is being finalized. VOS says service withdrawal by PPV operators has been moderate, while urging participating drivers to resume operations.
Obviously, there is a situation where I would want to believe that it's a lack of communication why these transport operators continue to take action after a very definitive statement was made from last week that there'll be a meeting tomorrow to address their concerns in relation to demerit points. So I can only conclude that it is either politically motivated or it is a lack of communication getting down from the taxi organizations, associations, to the actual drivers. I would want to believe that it is a situation where it's a communication situation. However, at this point, I will continue to watch through the day. Again, I'm calling for good order, good sense to prevail. This action is premature and unnecessary. And I'm making an appeal to all those drivers who are taking part, who are losing income and causing great inconvenience to the commuters, to get back on the job and allow the process to take its place. For those who are using it for political reasons, I ask you to desist, especially in relation to the roadblocks that are being mounted using trees and stones and other things to interrupt the flow of ordinary law-abiding citizens. It is totally unnecessary, and I call on you to desist and allow the process of communication, collaboration, and consensus, which is how I operate, to continue.
Father of 5 avoids jail time for goat theft. A 32-year-old father of 5 narrowly avoided prison time after being convicted of goat theft, receiving a 2-year suspended sentence instead. The decision came after a compelling 1-hour plea from his attorney, Rodin Richardson, on behalf of his client Anthony Spence. Spence's case arose from an incident on May 6, 2024, when a team of police officers patrolling the Planters Main Road en route to Old Harbor signaled a grey motor vehicle to stop at about 1:30 a.m. The vehicle, however, sped off in an attempt to evade the police. After a brief chase, the car reportedly crashed on the Londonsville Main Road. During the search of the vehicle, the police recovered 6 stolen goats. Spence and another individual were subsequently arrested. In court, Richardson painted a vivid picture of Spence's life, characterizing by relentless struggling, a fatherless childhood, and a mountain of responsibilities at a tender age. He shared that Spence, who dropped out of school in grade 9, has been the primary provider for his 3 biological children, 2 stepchildren, his common-law spouse, and mother. His attorney emphasized that the severe financial burden Spence faced fed him constant efforts to make ends meet through various low-paying jobs including delivery services and carpentry. He argued further that Spence's actions were driven by sheer desperation rather than criminal intent. The defense also noted that Spence is remorseful and his ongoing attempt to participate in educational and rehabilitative programs. In her sentencing, the parish court judge balanced the severity of Spence's offense with the potential for his rehabilitation and the impact of incarceration on his dependents. She sentenced Spence to 2 years in prison, suspended for 2 years, on the condition of good behavior. This means that Spence will avoid prison time if he does not reoffend within the next 2 years. Additionally, he must adhere to be supervised by the probation department and engage in counseling sessions aimed at addressing the underlying issues contributing to his criminal behavior. We trust to express gratitude for the court's leniency, emphasizing that the decision allows Spence a crucial chance to turn his life around and to better provide for his family. Privy Council was never intended to be Jamaica's final court of appeal. Former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson has asserted that the framers of Jamaica's constitution never intended for the British Privy Council to remain as Jamaica's highest court of appeal, hence it was never deeply entrenched in the constitutional framework. Speaking at a forum at the Faculty of Law at the University of the West Indies at Mona, Patterson emphasized that both Norman Manley and Sir Alexander Bustamante had not subscribed to the retention of an apex court created to maintain the cause of the British Empire, through which it would maintain its dominance by the way of Privy Council as a final determinant of our legal rights. Patterson, Jamaica's sixth and longest-serving Prime Minister, had an insider perspective during the creation of the Jamaican Constitution. He noted that with dissolution of the West Indies Federation, the federal court would automatically be dissolved. As a temporary measure, it was decided to retain the Privy Council until a final Caribbean court could be established. Our founding fathers envisaged the establishment of a Caribbean court at the apex. This should remain a settled national problem and should not be subverted because of political expediency, which has now emerged as a partisan divided, Patterson lamented. Not one single valid ground has been advanced as to why the vesical colonial institution should remain, Patterson declared. He argued that if Sir Alexander Bustamante was not convinced that it was a temporary measure, he would have insisted on the deep entrenchment of the Privy Council. Patterson explained that the proposal to establish a Caribbean Court of Appeal originated from a recommendation by the officers of the Caribbean Commonwealth Bar Association in 1970 and was approved at a meeting chaired by Jamaica's Prime Minister Hugh Shero. In 1987, at a meeting of the Caribbean heads of government in Antigua, attended by Jamaica's Prime Minister Edward Seago, it was decided by the head that in order to avoid the option of a mere transitional involvement of Caribbean jurists in the Privy Council, they would not immediately step towards the expeditious establishment of a Caribbean court as a final appellate court for English-speaking Caribbean countries. The meeting empowered the regional attorneys general, including Jamaica's O.C. Harding KC, to draft the framework for what is now the Caribbean Court of Justice CCJ. Patterson explained that the Judicial Privy Council accepted that final court would be simply entrenched, allowing its removal by a two-thirds vote of both houses without requiring a referendum. The former Prime Minister stressed the importance of not only establishing the CCJ, but also ensuring it is seen as an international court fashioned by the Caribbean people. He noted that Jamaica has paid its full share and that the court has passed the tenure test flying jurisprudential colors. It is high time to remove the Inquisitor of His Majesty, Judicial Privy Council, being the final legal repository which interprets our constitutional and fundamental rights when the monarch is no longer even a fragment of our social reality. 62 years after our independence, it is more than overdue for Jamaica to depend no longer on an order in council to abolish the monarchy and to vest the judicial arm with a full authority to dispense justice for all, to develop a Caribbean jurisprudence, Patterson stated. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.